million lights, they flicker there. A million hearts beat quicker there. No skies are gray on the great wide way, 'cause that's the Broadway.
Hey, thanks for joining us. I'm Jason Crawford Samusui.
And I'm Patrick J. Golden.
And this is Backstage Banter. So for this episode of Backstage Banter, we're going to be talking about Lucky Stiff by Stephen Flaherty and Lynn Ahrens, playing at Silhouette Stages through March 26. Now, this production is directed by Connie Trump Ross, with music direction by William George, and choreographed by Tina DeSimone. Now, Lucky Stiff has a special place in my heart. It's one of my favorites musicals, as well as one of my favorite musicals to perform. This many moons ago, and it's just a fun musical. Flaherty and Ahrens, all of their shows are always catchy tunes and just very fun and completely different.
Yes.
All of their stuff's completely different. You got Ragtime to Once on This Island to
Seussical.
Seussical, and then you have Lucky Stiff, which was one of their earlier ones.
And now Anastasia.
Oh, and now Anastasia, which I can't wait to see.
Right, me either.
But Lucky Stiff is one of their earlier ones, and it's a smaller show than their others, because, if you're familiar with Ragtime, that's a cast of thousands.
Yes.
Whereas this one, you can do this show with as little as 8 people. So the production at Silhouette Stages was my first production at Silhouette. I had not been there before. I had someone review another show, Young Frankenstein, a few months back, and they really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I finally got a chance to see this space, because it's absolutely amazing.
Oh.
And speaking of space, I almost forgot that set design was by Douglas Thomas. And while we're on that, costumes were by Linda Swan. So, this production itself, it was a very well put together production. I thoroughly enjoyed it. An amazing cast, and just an amazing production all around.
Yes, absolutely. What they did with their space, now, I mean, they do have a full theater.
Right.
But, they really...
they have a traditional proscenium stage and what have you.
Right. And I know we'll probably get into it later, but just to comment on it now, the way they kept the show moving with, they had the tri-flats. They had pyramid-shaped flats that they could just flip around and change the scene, so it was
pretty much it was
quick.
a blank stage, and all of their changes had to do with these flats, which was very clever.
Yes.
Very easy to go from one scene to another.
Right.
And I also noticed, I do believe they may have had a stage crew, but a lot of their cast members were a part of changing these scenes, which is very commendable.
Yes.
For that, with so much else going on, that they managed to take on that duty as well. Well, no, I mean, while we're talking about set, the set was very clever. I'm sorry, I already forgot his name. It was Mr. Douglas Thomas. The way that the set design was, again, like I said, it was minimal and easy to get on and off and to show different locations. I think they had a base black curtain and blank stage, which actually really works for this type of production. Because, again, it's small. I don't think it was intended to be a huge production. And, the set changes, again, they weren't long. The pacing was very good. And they worked very well in moving the story along. They didn't hinder any of the story.
Right. It was definitely great. I mean, and they had, like you said, certain set pieces to really set the mood. It wasn't just the flats, of course.
Right.
But like the hotel scene, they did have a full bed, nightstand, everything else. I mean, and really, just with these few items, your imagination took over.
Right.
And in a good way. Like,
it
didn't
gave you
force
just enough.
to.
It gave you just enough to
you
realize
filled in the rest, and it wasn't
Right.
any effort on the audience part. It just happened.
So kudos to Mr. Thomas for this really clever, innovative set design. Well, continuing with the production part, the costumes by Linda Swan, they worked. I mean, it's musical theater. It's a musical comedy set in present day. So, there's not a lot to do, but each character certainly had their own style.
Yes.
And, this is almost like a mistaken identity kind of thing. So, the costuming these people, it's a challenge, but I think Linda Swan did a very good job with it. She hit the nail on the head with the certain specific costumes. Like there's a lounge singer, and she was real swanky or slinky dress and everything. There's this crazy person named Luigi running around and with the mustache and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, it did a really good job in finding these characters and wardrobing them, appropriately. I think.
Absolutely. Just like the character of Rita, for example. Like you already mentioned, Dominique, the lounge singer.
Yes.
The character of Rita is, well, from Jersey and like a true Jersey kind of mob girl, or wants to be. And her style, what they had her in was perfect for that.
Yes.
I mean, everyone was perfect, but like just as a highlight on that.
And knowing the actress, I mean, I don't think that was her hair. The wig that they had for her was absolutely perfect. And if I didn't know, I wouldn't have known it was a wig.
Right.
So, costuming, Linda Swan took her time with it. She understood the piece and acted appropriately with it. So this was directed again by Connie Trump Ross, who I think did a bang-up job. I think she understood the piece. She got, that it was musical comedy. I don't think she took it too seriously.
Right.
And she kept it moving. The pacing was perfect on this piece. I think this runs maybe, 2 hours, 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Give or take. It's not
and
that
long.
long.
And they also have a 20-minute intermission as opposed to 10, 15-minute intermission. But it runs very, very quickly. The way that the show is written, it goes from song to song to song. There's not a whole lot of scene work that goes into it, as musical theater goes. Mm-hmm. But Connie Trump Ross, she did a really good job with it. Again, she understood the piece, and I think she had a well put together production.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, I mean, the pacing was great. It kept the show, because a show like this, like you said, it runs about 2 hours, and this is with really good pacing. If it slowed down at all and that was let to slide, I mean, it's a fun show, but if it went too long, you would get bored.
Yes.
And this was the perfect amount of time for it. And
that didn't even feel like 2 hours.
Right. And it certainly wasn't rushed either.
No.
So she definitely did a great job with this, kept it moving.
Her casting was
yes.
was superb, and it was a really well put together piece, like I said. Music direction by William George. Now, this was interesting because this did not have a live orchestra. And it was recorded, or cans music for those in the know. It was recorded music, but he did a great job with it.
Oh yeah.
The balance between the actors and the music was perfect, which can be tricky when you get cans music into a performance. But and apparently, we had a chance to speak with Mr. George outside, and he said that it was actually kind of an interactive kind of recorded music.
Right.
He still had to hit cues like on the computer or on the laptop that he had, and there were certain sound effects that he still had to provide. But he did very well with this.
Right.
I'm sure that it's a crazy, rehearsal process to get this, and I'm sure it's just repetition. But he didn't miss one cue. Not that I noticed.
Right. And like you said, he it was like you used the word when we were talking to him, blended.
Mm-hmm.
It was perfectly blended, and it really was. And because it wasn't just a press play thing, there were certain moments, and like you said, I was questioning whether or not it was an actual orchestra, and there were parts where it had to vamp repeatedly, and he was able to do that flawlessly too.
Right. He kept
it wasn't
it going.
Pin repeat or nothing. It kept blending right into the next thing,
and the actors, I mean, they knew their cues. So William George, he must have worked well with these guys, or
yes.
and had a really good cast to work with, because they hit their cues every time. Like I said, I didn't notice a cue that was missed at all, if there was one. If there was, then they were good enough to play it off.
Oh yeah,
because it sounded seamless to me. And like I said, he had them in harmonies. Of course, there are some singers that are stronger than others. But the entire cast, the entire ensemble together was strong vocally. I mean, and there are some powerhouses, and we'll get to that. There were some real powerhouses vocally in this, and I think Mr. George, he did a great job with this. Now, I believe he said this was his first time musically directing outside of his home theater, which I can't remember the name at the moment, but outside of his base theater.
Right.
And hey, keep going, William. You did a good job.
Absolutely.
So, and that goes into choreography by Tina DeSimone. Even the choreography, I mean, there wasn't a ton of choreography in this. It's really about the music and and the acting. But there definitely was choreography that needed to be done, and the bits that did need to be choreographed fit perfectly.
Oh yeah.
Again, didn't take it too seriously, I don't think. I believe she knew the abilities of her cast, and that's really important for a choreographer. You need to know what your cast can do.
Absolutely.
Because that makes them look good. Mm-hmm. When you know what they can do, that makes them look fantastic. And I've worked with choreographers that said, hey, this is what it's going to happen, do or die. But then there were choreographers that kind of waited throughout the process and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to modify. And whether or not Tina DeSimone had to do that or not, I'm not sure. But whatever it was, she knew her cast, and they got all the choreographed bits. They performed them very nicely.
Absolutely. And just to touch on the ensemble again too, when those few dance numbers came up, when everybody was moving, they were all tight and together.
Right. Yes.
Yes. There was no one missing any steps. There was no one falling behind. They just all perfectly.
They all worked hard. They were dedicated.
Yes.
The opening number, which is, that's what's do or die for a performance. That opening number. And this opening number, it's something funny's going on is the name of the number. Cast got it perfectly. They hit it vocally, choreography wise. You saw the characters. They kind of introduced the characters in it, even though you didn't know who they were yet. You knew once they got on. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember that from the opening number alone, which is only a few minutes long.
Right.
So again, well rehearsed, well put together. So going into the performance aspect of it, we'll touch on a few of these performers, which the entire ensemble did a fantastic job. There were a couple featured roles that were, they were funny, they were asides, and did really well. But start with Vinny DeRuzio is his name. Vinny DeRuzio was the character name, and he was played by Don Patterson. Now, I'll admit, this is the character that I played when I did this. And it's a really, really fun character, and Don Patterson did a great job with it.
Oh, yeah.
He did a really good job. Now, I will say, not to be offensive or anything, he did seem a little older than the rest of the cast, but I totally forgot that. As soon as he came on and as soon as he started with his character, I totally forgot about that. He fit right in, and he did this character well. This character is very neurotic, and he played him very well.
Yeah, he did, and the way he acted off the other actors too, it was just spot on. He really absorbed and got into this character and embodied it perfectly.
Right. Yeah. And because he mainly has to play off of the other character named Rita Laporta, who you had mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. Rita Laporta is his sister, and she was played by Kristen Zwobot. Now, we had seen Kristen Zwobot in another production earlier on.
Yes.
Did a very good job in the other production we saw her in, but in this one, she knocked it out of the ballpark with this. This was a great part for her. And when I was talking about those powerhouse singers, those vocal powerhouses, she is one of them. Absolutely. She blew me away with every number. She has a number called Funny Meeting You Here. And her voice filled the auditorium, and she was so dedicated to this role that it was a fantastic performance.
Yes, and this character in particular has a lot of funny moments, and her comedic timing was spot on for all of it.
Right, actually, all of them. I mean,
they really
that went across the board. All of them had great comedic timing. And that takes us into Annabelle Glick, who is like the love interest, I guess. And she was played by Maddie Boher, Bohrer. Boher, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. She is certainly a staunch character. She's a very straight-laced character. And Maddie Boher, she, again, another one that just got it, hands down. She was a good fit for this part. She looked the part. Voice was amazing. And she actually, I noticed she again, no offense, she didn't seem like one of those ingenues to me. She had more of a raspy voice, but it worked. So she got it so perfectly, and it was a pleasant voice. It was pleasant to listen to.
Yes. And
her numbers were very good. She has some very cute, poignant numbers. I call them poignant because I think they are poignant, but they're actually funny numbers. Like one is something about, at times like this, I need a dog, because that's one of her main things for her character. She works for the Universal Dog Home of Brooklyn.
Yes.
and that plays a big part in this production. But she, even the funny songs that were poignant musically, she hit the nail on the head.
Oh yeah,
with these.
Yeah, I gotta say, even less of her singing, which was great, but her acting, her facial expressions alone. Yes. From the back of the auditorium, you could definitely tell what she was feeling at that very moment.
Again, she was comfortable with this part. Again, all of them, Kristen Zwilbot, Don Patterson, Maddie Boer, they were very comfortable with their parts. They were confident, strong stage presence. The casting was superb. Connie Trump Ross did a very good job casting this show. All right, so Dominique de Monaco is the slinky lounge singer that I was talking about. Now, again, like I was saying, they're stronger singers, and then they're singers that maybe not be as strong as others. I won't say weaker, not as strong as others. And she looks perfect for this part. The girl's gorgeous. She's beautiful. And she dances like the wind.
Yes.
She really does. She's a very good dancer. I could tell because she was working those numbers. The only thing that got me with her performance was she did seem a little out of breath. But that's not to say it wasn't a good performance, because she was working it.
Right.
And, of course, I'd have been out of breath doing a quarter of what she was doing. A quarter of what she was doing. I'd have been out of breath. But that was the only thing, and I think it may have affected her vocal performance just a little bit. But she was dedicated, and she stuck with it. So, it was commendable. She gave a very commendable performance.
Right. I completely agree with you on that. There's not too much else I can comment on, but like you said, during her number, it was also a heavy dance number for her, too. She was going back and forth across the stage, fast as a whip, but she did great. Where she may have been out of breath, she didn't miss any lyrics.
No.
She didn't stop.
She had an accent, too. She had to play with an accent. It was a French accent. That didn't falter once. All in all, great performance.
Absolutely.
So, a few minor things here and there that might even pick up with as the run goes.
And that could have just been what we saw.
Exactly.
That could have just been that one night.
Exactly. Maybe when you see it, see a completely different performance, and I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. And again, and for time's sake, let's talk about Rob Wall, who kind of plays the main character, even though this is definitely an ensemble piece.
Yes.
Rob Wall, who we've seen numerous times. We've seen a lot of his work down at Spotlighters.
Yes.
And I always enjoy watching Rob. I think he's a great actor. He is a phenomenal singer. He is an absolute phenomenal singer. There's a few times where it might be a little trained for musical theater, but then that's not saying that that's wrong. He does a fantastic job. He hits every note that he needs to hit. He really knows his character. He too had to work with an accent, a British accent, and that did not falter once. And he understood his character as well. He understood what his character needed to do. His character was like a nobody, literally a nobody. He was a shoe salesman who falls into this scheme that of a dead uncle and having to take this dead body to Monte Carlo and on vacation and everything. And it's a slapstick kind of farce, which this show is. And Rob Wall did a very good job with this character. He embodied this character very well, and managed to muddle through all of these zany situations that he was in.
Right. Like you said, we've seen Rob in a few things now.
And very different parts,
yes,
too. So he's a very versatile actor.
Right. And we usually saw him at Spotlighters in the round.
So it was refreshing to see him outside.
Yes. And that being said, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but seeing Rob outside of a place like that, not just Spotlighters, but in around an intimate place, vocally, he's a great singer. Really great. Like you said, trained at times. But this was more of a room to fill.
Yes. And he did.
He did. But I'd like... Again, I don't mean it's a bad thing, but I feel like without the mic, he may have been struggling a bit if he didn't have that on there to push out there.
Right.
But otherwise, he gave a great performance. He gave 150%.
Well, I think you had mentioned off camera, his money notes filled the theater. His money notes filled the theater. But I see what you're saying about the more like the verses kind of things. Yeah, he may have been struggling without a microphone. Not to say that he couldn't do it. But yeah, I see what you were saying with that.
And again, it could have just been that night we saw
that
it.
night. I believe it was opening night that we saw as well. So, but all in all, Lucky Stiff, if you get a chance, go see this season.
Yes.
It really is a very well put together production. I was very impressed with the work that Silhouette Stages put on. I can't wait to see more there. Again, it was our first time at this particular theater, and I am very excited to see more. So, Lucky Stiff runs until March 26th, and again, this is at Silhouette Stages, which is at 10400 Cross Fox Lane, and that's in Columbia, Maryland, so it's a little outside of Baltimore, but worth the trip, I'm telling you. And if you want to get tickets, you can give a call to their box office at 410-637-5289, or go to their website, which is silhouettestages.com. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this production. Great ensemble. It's a great show. It's a funny show. It's a fun music. You don't want to miss it. So, until next time, thank you so much for joining us. And this is Backstage Banter.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing. Everything the traffic will allow. Nowhere can you get that happy feeling when you are feeling that extra bow. There's no people like show people, they smile.